Good morning, everyone. Sunday, 1st of March, 2020, or that's what they want us to believe it is. 34 degrees. Unbelievable. Beautiful. Extended forecast looks great. I'm going to get to the title of this video. Morgan, I'm not going to pick on you. As a matter of fact, I do appreciate your sense of humor when you responded to my kid's text concerning the possible use of your Canon 70D DSLR camera for my most top secret mission. Still pending, don't you know? Yes, I laughed. When you responded that Walmart is selling drones that I could use to prove the earth is flat. Yeah, good humor. I laughed. But, of course, my intention is not to prove the earth is flat. I don't need to prove the earth is flat. Let me just help you out a little bit more here. Some of your friends, under the influence of alcohol, no doubt, late Friday night at the kids' bar, pointed out the fact that, hey, there's the dude that believes the earth is flat. After the laughter died down, the laughter generated by a handful of room temp plus 7 IQ types, I politely informed them that I never believed the earth is flat. I know the earth is flat. Morgan, you got it? The earth is flat. I don't believe it. I know it. And I don't need a camera to prove it. Okay, so what's the title of this video all about? Well, you're the one that made the statement, and I agree with you. Who wants to stare at a crusty old D-bag face floating around in the black dark background on these endless retarded videos I put out? Yeah, I agree. So how about this? I can make it better. How about a video where you don't have to listen to my smoking-induced, lung-labored, groaning, and trying to grind out a message? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play a couple of snippets. I think you all need to pay attention to this, people. And I, of course, will leave a link to this below in the pinned comments. All right, first one right here.
From Fox News, this president says coronavirus vaccine coming along, quote, rapidly. From that report, even as the president reassured Americans that the, quote, great quarantine facilities, end quote, have been set up, Trump noted that the scale of virus has been somewhat misrepresented. Listen carefully to this. He said he was, quote, shocked and amazed when he spoke to medical experts to hear that the flu kills from 25,000 to 69,000 people per year. By contrast, only 27,000 people globally have been confirmed killed by coronavirus, although China and other countries are certainly not reporting accurate numbers. Let's stop there for a moment. Mr. President, it's not about the amount of people killed. When exponentially more people contract the flu, of course, more people will die from that ailment. But, Mr. President, it's the, quote, mortality rate that matters. And conservatively, the mortality rate on this virus, the COVID-19, certainly an engineered pathogen, peer-reviewed science study has already made that clear, although there is a great deal of disinformation now trying to downplay that, discredit it, and tell anyone who believes that information that they should go back to sleep and not think that our governments would do such things to us. But those who can see through that kind of smoke and mirrors understand this is an engineered pathogen, and Mr. President, what matters is the mortality rate. I would think someone that holds what the public perceives as the highest post in land would at least understand such a simple equation. And here is that equation. It is the percentage of individuals who die from the total that contracted the virus. So the mortality rate for the novel coronavirus is conservatively from 25 to 40 times higher than from the flu. And that number is likely greatly underestimated. The mortality rate is exponentially higher for this virus, Mr. President, than for the flu. It's not just the total numbers that matter. Report continues. The president's appointee for the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Alex Azar, warned that the, quote, degree of risk has the potential to change quickly, end quote. As the media coverage of the virus increased, Trump has grown concerned that even fears of an outbreak would stagger Wall Street, leading him to wonder if Alex Azar was the right person to lead the administration's response to the pandemic, officials stated. Who is Alex Azar? Again, the president's appointee for the Secretary of Health and Human Services. Alex Azar is a former top executive for the pharmaceutical industrial complex. He's a former pharmaceutical industry complex lobbyist. that is also an attorney by trade, who has made millions from the pharmaceutical industrial complex. So why did the president place such an insider as the Secretary of Health and Human Services? A question that should be answered. So much for draining the swamp.
Oh yes, Mr. Trump, gonna drain the swamp. He drained the swamp, and what did he find? Shit, he found his cabinet sitting at the bottom. Okay, the final clip, people. I'm playing them because I do believe they're important. You should watch the whole 54-minute video, but here we go.
Another headline report from multiple sources. Dry February since California back to drought. The headline continues, that hasn't happened in 150 years. Here's from the report. February is typically one of the wettest months in California, but the state is parched, and there's no moisture in the forecasts. That's the scheduled weather, by the way, of quote forecasts. And not my opinion, been over that in many broadcasts. Raytheon, private defense contractor Raytheon, geoengineering contractor Raytheon, does all the weather modeling for the National Weather Service and NOAA, the two national weather disseminating agencies, both of which that have an illegal federal gag order on them. So that scheduled weather from Raytheon is passed all the way down through the ladder, all the way to our local meteorologists. They're reading a script. So the bottom line is, when they say there's no moisture in the forecasts, that means there's no moisture scheduled for California. The report continues. This hasn't happened in 150 years or more, said Daniel Swain, a climate scientist at UCLA's Institute for the Environment and Sustainability. And the U.S. Drought Monitor, by the way, shows only the lowest level of drought, abnormally dry. So think about that. We have the driest month in 150 years, but there's almost no drought. Does that make sense? Because the data is being downplayed across the board. Temperatures are being underreported. The severity of climate collapse underreported. All attempts to pacify the population until the brutal, bitter end. All you have to do is look up and our constantly hazed out white skies with expanding, lingering jet particulate trails. It is not condensation. It doesn't take much investigation.
Stay with me on this, good people. The point that I want you locals to hear is going to be coming up. I hope you don't miss it.
To come to the inarguable conclusion that climate engineering is completely out of control, wreaking havoc on the planet, and the same scenes we see in our skies above land in Northern California are happening over the ocean. And that same climate engineering activity is totally derailing the storm track, i.e. blocking rain from California. We can speculate on the agendas, but the fact that climate engineering is completely derailing our hydrological cycle is absolutely scientifically inarguable. Question: are the climate engineers yet again setting the stage for epic forest burn downs in Western North America, as has happened in previous years, as has just happened in Australia? My broadcast in late December, I stated that the scheduled weather looked as if this is the direction the climate engineers were going to push us. That has so far played out. If you want to see just how blatant the most recent rain schedule map is from NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, showing a bullseye of no rain over California while simultaneously showing above normal rain schedule for the entire rest of the lower 48 states. View the actual NOAA map under the posting of this broadcast at geoengineeringwatch.org. A short update on the forests in Northern California. Trees are flashing out dead right now in the middle of winter. The soils are unimaginably dry, and on the forest floor, the biomass is no longer decomposing. Microbial activity is almost non-existent. Soils are all but dead.
Did you hear that, local farmer types? How's your soils doing? Okay, I strongly suggest you watch the whole 54-minute video. I will leave the link in the pinned comment. I'll leave you with a question. Question: are they introducing deadly pathogens into the chemtrail spraying? Inquiring minds want to know. I'm glad this is only going out to my subs, because I'm sure the group that was at my kids' bar Friday night, making fun of your humble messenger, could not comprehend any part of this message. No. Alright, people, guess what? I got stuff to do. You guys have a good one. So, let me get out of this. Yep, I'm prepared.